Welcome back to the channel, everyone. You are tuning into Azeem USA, and today we are doing something a little bit different.
Yeah, we definitely are.
We are bypassing the hype reel, we are ignoring the marketing fluff, and we are doing a genuine, full-blown deep dive into the just-announced Samsung Galaxy S26 series.
And honestly, there is a tremendous amount to unpack here. I mean, we aren't just looking at a spec sheet and nodding our heads today. We need to really scrutinize what this phone actually represents.
No, absolutely. Look, the Galaxy S26 Ultra has arrived, and on the surface, it has a feature that looks like actual magic. We're talking about a screen that literally disappears, like it vanishes into total darkness when you look at it from the side.
Right.
It is exactly the kind of hardware flex that Samsung is famous for.
It is impressive technology, certainly. But the big question we need to answer in this deep dive is whether that magic trick is enough to justify a price hike. And frankly, a battery capacity that hasn't budged an inch in half a decade.
Exactly. And we aren't just talking about hardware either. I mean, the bigger story, perhaps, is that Samsung is making a massive pivot to what they call Agentic AI.
Right, the big buzzword.
The huge buzzword. We are moving past chatbots, people. We are talking about a phone that claims it can order your dinner, navigate complex menus, and just manage your life in the background while you listen to a deep dive like this one.
It is a fundamental shift from AI that knows things to AI that does things. But as we will discuss, there is a massive canyon between a carefully choreographed marketing demo and real-world reliability.
So here is the mission for this deep dive. We're going to break down the S26, the S26 Plus, and the big daddy, the S26 Ultra. We are going to look at the Unpacked event, which, by the way, was complete chaos with the snow in California.
Yeah, watching MKBHD and the other reviewers trying to navigate a literal snowstorm to get to a tech launch in San Jose, it set a very chaotic tone right from the start.
It really did. But the phones are here. We have the technical documentation from Samsung developers. We have the keynote transcripts. And we have hands-on impressions from the top reviewers like Merhos Ethabas and Hales World.
And we're going to figure out if this is the agentic era of smartphones or if this is just an expensive iteration with a cool privacy screen.
Let's get right into it. Okay, so let's start with the buzzword of the year. Actually, maybe the buzzword of the decade at this point. Agentic.
Yeah, they're pushing it hard.
Samsung is pushing this incredibly hard. They aren't just calling it a smartphone anymore. They're really heavily hinting it is an AI phone. But agentic is a specific term in computer science. What does it actually mean in this specific context?
Right. So to really understand agentic, you have to contrast it with what we have been using for the last 2 years. Usually when we use AI like ChatGPT or Gemini, it is a call and response mechanism. You ask a question, it gives an answer. It is fundamentally passive. It waits for you.
Right. Like write me a poem about a cat, or what is the capital of Peru?
Exactly. It is an information retrieval system. But agentic AI, specifically with the Gemini 3 integration they showed off on stage, is about the AI taking agency. It is about the system performing multi-step actions across different applications without you having to micromanage every single click.
So it is moving from an LLM
Right, large language model.
to a LAM,
Yeah.
a large action model.
Precisely.
The example they gave, and I want to walk through this because it sounded almost too good to be true, was the pizza night scenario. This was the demo with Samir from Android.
Right, and this is a scenario designed to induce stress in anyone who has ever organized a group dinner.
Oh, absolutely. So picture this. You're leaving work, you've got your keys in hand, and your family group chat just explodes. It is pizza night. People are shouting out orders. Pepperoni here, no onions there, I need a specific drink. Do not forget the garlic knots.
Usually that is a nightmare. You are sitting in your car, scrolling up and down the chat to find the messages, memorizing orders, switching to DoorDash or Grubhub, toggling back and forth, trying to remember if Uncle Bob wanted extra cheese. It is pure app fatigue.
Exactly. But in this demo, the user just activates Gemini and says, handle the order. And this is the wild part. Gemini reads the chat history, parses the natural language to understand who wants what, opens the food delivery app in a virtual window in the background, builds the cart, and then just presents you with a final confirmation screen.
It is crucial to understand what is happening technically there. It is multimodal. The AI is literally seeing the screen of the delivery app. It is identifying the button that says add to cart. It is identifying the checkbox for no onions. It is operating the app for you. That is the agentic shift.
It feels like we are finally moving away from having a grid of apps that act like little silos. It is almost like the AI becomes the operating system itself.
That is the ultimate goal. It is about the AI becoming the universal interface. But we have to be realistic here. This is a preview feature. Samsung and Google are rolling this out on a limited set of whitelisted apps. DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber, it is not going to work on every obscure local app you have installed on day one.
And there's a massive trust factor there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I tell it to order pizza, I need to be 100% sure it did not order 50 garlic knots instead of 5, or that it did not accidentally tip $100.
Which is why that confirmation step is critical. It does not hit buy for you. But it raises a bigger question about privacy and data access. For this to work, the Personal Data Engine, or PDE, as Samsung calls it, needs deep, unfettered access to your messages, your screen, your app usage habits, and your wallet.
They made a really big deal about Knox Vault in the keynote, saying the data is processed to deliver the answer and then immediately deleted if it goes to the cloud.
True. Samsung is very skilled at security marketing. They are saying we have walls between your apps and we verify everything. But fundamentally, you are giving an AI agent the keys to your digital life. It is a trade-off.
Hotel at
Do you want
Barcelona.
extreme convenience or do you want total isolation of your data? You cannot really have both in an agentic world.
Speaking of convenience, let's talk about No Nudge. This feels like the phone is not just acting for you, but actively trying to read your mind.
Or at least reading your texts very aggressively.
Right. So the idea is if I am texting you and I say, hey, where are you? The S26 does not just sit there. It pops up a little map location chip right in the keyboard area that I can tap to send my location instantly. Or if I say, send me those pics of Mike, it scans my gallery from Mike's face using facial recognition and suggests them immediately.
In theory, it removes friction. It keeps you in the flow, as they kept saying in the keynote. It is essentially predictive text on steroids, predicting content rather than just words. But in practice, we have to look at the early reviews.
Miru Selfabas had some really interesting things to say about this feature.
He did. He called it inconsistent, which is polite for broken. He tested it for 30 minutes. Sometimes it suggested nonsense. Sometimes it suggested nothing when the context was painfully obvious. It feels like version 1.0 software.
That is the classic Samsung curse is not it. A really great idea with shaky execution at launch.
It is. And honestly, having the phone constantly scanning your outgoing and incoming text context to offer suggestions, some people will find that incredibly helpful. Others are going to find it incredibly creepy. It is the Clippy problem all over again.
It looks like you are trying to break up with your girlfriend. Would you like some help drafting a text?
Exactly. I see you are fighting. Here's a list of divorce lawyers. It can get dystopian very quickly if the context understanding is not absolutely perfect.
And then amid all this Gemini talk, we have the Bixby situation. Bixby. It is still alive. I honestly thought they would have taken it out back and put it out of its misery by now.
It is alive, and it has actually evolved. They have realized Bixby cannot compete on general knowledge, so they have pivoted. They have integrated it with Perplexity.
This integration I actually found compelling. Because Bixby has always been okay at controlling the phone
Hi,
hardware,
Bixby.
like turn on Wi-Fi or
My
open
eyes are
settings.
tired. Is there any
But
settings
it
I
has been
can
historically
adjust?
terrible at answering questions about the world.
Right, so now they have created a tiered system. You use Bixby for device control. Charge another device with Mine Open's wireless power share. Great. But if you ask a complex question like, what is the difference between a Roth IRA and a 401k, Bixby hands that query off to Perplexity.
And Perplexity gives you that research-grade
Hi,
answer with citations.
I'm a call
It is
assistant
smart.
recording
It
this
plays to
call
strengths.
for the
But
person you're
think about the
trying to
mental load
reach.
for you as the user.
Please
You
say
have
who
Bixby
you are
on the
and why you're
device for
calling.
settings. You have Gemini for agentic actions
This
and
is
creativity.
Samsung Dental
You have
Clinic calling.
Perplexity for knowledge.
I
That is
called to arrange
three
your next
different AI
appointment.
assistants to manage in your
When
head.
would you like?
It is like having a staff of 3 different secretaries who do not totally talk to each other yet.
Thank
Oh,
you.
do not ask
Please
Gemini, that
hold
ask
while
Bixby.
I connect
No, wait,
you.
that is a Perplexity question.
That is a perfect analogy. And until they merge into one singular interface, it is going to feel disjointed.
Okay, let's move from the software brain to the hardware face. The display. The
Call me an
S26
Uber to
Ultra
go to
has
the
something
San
called a
Francisco
privacy
airport.
display.
This is the feature that MKBHD said was the most Samsung thing ever. And he is right. It is risky hardware innovation solving a problem that maybe only exists because screens got too good in the first place.
So explain this to me. This is not a plastic film I stick on the front that makes my screen look dim and grainy, right?
Yo, this is baked into the glass, into the pixel architecture itself.
How does that work physically?
Okay, let's unpack the physics. A normal OLED screen uses what we call wide-firing pixels. They blast light out in a cone shape, essentially 180 degrees so that you can see the screen from the left, right, top, bottom. That is what we usually want. Good viewing angle so we can share a video with friends.
Right.
The S26 Ultra adds a second set of pixels into the matrix. Narrow pixels. These firelights strictly straightforward. Think of it like a spotlight versus a floodlight, a very narrow beam.
Okay, so it literally has 2 sets of lights.
Exactly. When you toggle privacy mode on, the wide pixels turn off completely. Only the narrow pixels fire. So if you are holding the phone directly in front of your face, you see the image because you are in the beam. But if someone is sitting next to you on the bus, looking at it from a 45-degree angle,
They see darkness.
they see black or a dark gray, the image basically vanishes because the light is not traveling in their direction at all.
That is undeniably cool. And what I love is the customization. It is not just an all-or-nothing toggle.
That is the best part. You can set it to partial screen privacy. So imagine a notification pops up, a text message. The phone can apply the privacy mode just to that notification banner at the top of the screen.
So the rest of my screen is bright and visible, but the text message is invisible to the person peeking over my shoulder.
Exactly. Or you can have it trigger automatically when you open your banking app or your secure folder. It is context-aware hardware.
But there is always a but with first-generation tech.
There is a significant but here, and Boss highlighted this in his review, and it is something potential buyers need to really hear before dropping money on this.
The viewing angles.
Even when the feature is turned off?
Wait, really? Even when it is off?
Yes, because those narrow pixels are physically taking up space on the panel. They are physically present in the pixel matrix. They reduce the fill factor of the wide pixels. So compared to the S25 Ultra, the S26 Ultra has worse viewing angles by default. There is a noticeable blue tint that appears when you tilt the phone, and the brightness drops off faster off-axis.
Ouch. So you are degrading the display quality 95% of the time for a feature you might use 5% of the time.
That is the trade-off. And there is a resolution drop when you turn privacy mode on because you are effectively turning off half your pixels, the wide ones. So the screen looks a bit grainier and dimmer in privacy mode.
It is a classic early adopter tax. Do you want the cool spy feature, or do you want the pristine, perfect display Samsung is historically known for?
It creates a dilemma. If you commute on a train every day and handle sensitive documents, this feature is a godsend. If you mostly use your phone on the couch or show funny videos to friends, it might actually be a downgrade.
That is a really tough sell for a $1,300 phone.
Yeah.
Here is your new screen. It is slightly worse than last year's, unless you are hiding secrets.
Put that on the billboard. Samsung Galaxy S26. Perfect for spies. Okay for everyone else.
Let's talk about cameras. Because for creators, this is usually the bread and butter of an upgrade. But this year, it feels like the story is split between fun AI and hardcore pro specs.
That is a good way to put it. It is almost like two completely different teams worked on the camera software.
On the fun side, we have Photo Assist. Hale's World showed this off. You can type add flowers and it generates flowers into the shot. Or Creative Studio, where you sketch a dog and it makes a 3D sticker.
It is generative AI integrated directly into the gallery. It is the exact same Apple Image Playground concept. It is fun, but MKBHD called it a slippery slope.
A slippery slope to slop?
Precisely. It feeds into that philosophical debate. Is photography about capturing reality, or is it about creating an image? If I can just add a pet that was not there, or change my outfit, or change the weather, is it a photo anymore, or is it just digital art?
It is definitely becoming digital art. But for the people who actually care about the integrity of the footage, the videographers out there, there is something massive here, the horizontal lock.
This is genuinely impressive. You see this in action cameras like the GoPro, but rarely this well integrated in a flagship phone.
Explain it to me. How does it distinguish between me moving the phone to pan and me just shaking the phone?
So in super steady video mode, you can turn on horizontal lock. The phone uses the gyroscope data to determine the actual horizon line. It then crops into the ultra-wide sensor significantly. Because it has that extra room on the sensor, you can literally rotate the phone 360 degrees, spin it like a steering wheel, and the software counter-rotates the video feed in real time.
So the phone is spinning in my hand, but the video looks like it is locked on a gimbal.
It turns the phone into a virtual gimbal. Hale's World called it freaking magic, and for once, I agree with the hyperbole. For vlogging, for action shots, this eliminates that nauseating shake entirely.
And then for the real nerds out there, and I know you love digging into this part, there is the APV codec.
Oh, this is the deep cut. This is for the 0.1% of users, but it shows Samsung is still very serious about the Ultra name.
What exactly is APV?
It stands for Advanced Professional Video. It is Samsung's own open source codec.
But why do we need another codec? We have HEVC, we have ProRes.
So here is the problem with HEVC, or high-efficiency video coding. It is highly compressed using what we call interframe compression. It looks at frame 1 and frame 10 and just calculates the changes between them. It is great for saving space on your hard drive, but It is terrible for editing. Your computer has to work really hard to decode it on the fly.
ProRes.
ProRes is intraframe. Every single frame is a complete picture. It is amazing for editing, but the file sizes are astronomical.
And APB sits in the middle of those two.
It is a mezzanine codec. It offers visually lossless quality, specifically YUV4 two-color subsampling, which is professional grade, but it is designed strictly for workflow. It is easy to scrub through on a timeline without your computer choking.
The file sizes. I saw a number in the developer docs that honestly made my eyes water.
1.5 gigabytes per minute for full HD. Not even 4K.
1.5 gigs per minute for 1080p.
Yes. So if you are shooting 8K or 4K in APV, you are going to burn through storage instantly. That is why the developer docs explicitly mention that for high-quality recording, you practically need an external SSD connected via USB 3.0 or higher.
So this is a rig. You are not just holding the phone. You have an SSD strapped to the back of it.
Exactly. It is for a production environment. And they have added log video with custom lookup tables or LUTs, so you can preview what a blockbuster or thriller color grade looks like while you are shooting flat footage. It is a legitimate cinema tool.
It is amazing capability, but it highlights a contradiction, does it not? We have this pro-grade cinema camera software inside a phone where they just swap the premium material from titanium back to aluminum.
Ah, yes, the material science pivot.
The S26 Ultra went back to advanced armor aluminum. It is thinner, it is lighter, down to 7.9 millimeters. But last year, titanium was the massive premium luxury selling point. Apple uses titanium.
Yep.
Why go back?
Samsung claims it is for weight and thinness, and the phone is lighter, but I highly suspect there's a thermal angle here.
Heat management.
Think about the physics. Aluminum is a fantastic conductor. It moves heat very well. Titanium is actually a thermal insulator. It traps heat.
Interesting.
With the new Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 chip.
Which is a complete beast, by the way.
It is a beast. 39% faster NPU, 24% faster GPU with ray tracing. That chip generates a massive amount of heat. By switching to aluminum and redesigning the vapor chamber, which is much larger now, and using this new side TIM thermal interface material, they are trying to get that heat out of the phone chassis as fast as possible.
So titanium might have felt premium to the touch, but it might have been basically cooking the processor inside.
Exactly. It is a functional decision masked as a design choice, but it does feel a bit awkward. To sell titanium as the absolute best material one year and then silently drop it the next without mentioning the thermal issues.
Speaking of things that have not changed, we have to talk about the battery.
The giant elephant in the room.
The 5,000 milliamp hour elephant.
It has been 5,000 since the S20 Ultra. That is 6 solid years of the exact same battery capacity.
Meanwhile, the OnePlus 13, the Xiaomi phones, they're hitting 6,000, 6,500 using silicon carbon batteries. Why is Samsung stuck in the past here?
They are obsessed with thinness. We just mentioned the S26 Ultra is the thinnest ever at 7.9 millimeters. Silicon carbon batteries are denser, yes. But Samsung seems incredibly conservative with battery density safety margins. Perhaps the ghosts of the Note 7 still haunt the engineering halls over there.
But they did bump the charging speed finally.
Finally. 60-watt wired charging on the Ultra.
0 to 75% in 30 minutes. That is respectable.
It is good. It is not the 100-watt charging you see from Chinese brands that charges the whole phone in 12 minutes, but it is a significant improvement over the 45 watts we have been stuck with. And wireless charging is up to 25 watts, which matches the iPhone.
But, and this drives me absolutely crazy, still no magnets.
No Key 2. No MagSafe.
Why? Every single reviewer, MKBHD, Miles Above Tech, they're all showing off these cases from D-Brand or Taurus that add the magnets. Why do I have to buy a case to get a feature that should just be an industry standard by now?
It is a massive missed opportunity. Q2 is the open standard now. Android supports it. For an Ultra phone to lack the magnetic utility that opens up car mounts, wallets, stands, it feels like a very stubborn omission.
It really does. It feels like they are saying, we know you want it, but we are Samsung and we do it our way.
Or they're saying just go buy a case.
Let's talk about the price, because if the battery is staying the same, the price certainly is not.
No, we definitely have some price creep this year.
The base S26 starts at $899. That is a $100 jump. The S26 Plus is $1,099. Another $100 jump. The Ultra stays at $1,299.
To be fair to Samsung, and I always try to look at the macroeconomic side of this,
You do always bring the economics into it.
they eliminated the 128 gigabyte storage tier entirely. The base model is now 256 gigabytes across the board. Plus, NAND flash prices have gone up, and the cost of the Snapdragon 8 Elite wafers from TSMC has absolutely skyrocketed.
Okay, so last year, if you wanted 256 gigs, you paid extra anyway.
Exactly. So effectively, the price for the specific spec has not changed much, but the entry price has gone up. If you were a casual user who was perfectly fine with 128 gigs, you are now forced to pay $100 more for storage you might never actually need.
It feels heavily like they're making room for the FE, the fan edition, to slot perfectly into that $700 to $800 range later this year.
That is almost certainly the strategy. Push the flagship line further up market, fill the gap with the FE model.
Before we get to the verdict, I want to touch on sustainability. Because amidst all the spec talk, they did spend significant time on Galaxy for the planet.
They did. And while it is easy to be cynical about corporate greenwashing, some of this is very tangible. They are using recycled tantalum and cobalt. They are using plastics from ocean-bound fishing nets.
Why fishing nets specifically?
Discarded nets are a huge ecological problem. They call them ghost nets. They are made of nylon, which is incredibly durable and does not gunk down. Repurposing that nylon for internal brackets in the phone is actually a very difficult engineering challenge because the material degrades heavily in salt water. So stabilizing it for use in high-end electronics is a legitimate engineering achievement.
And the water goal they mentioned.
Returning 110% of the water they consume. That means they are restoring more water to the ecosystem than their fabrication plants actually use. That is a solid corporate responsibility goal. It does not make your phone faster, but it makes the purchase feel a little less guilty.
And quickly, the Galaxy Buds 4, they were announced too.
The new blade design.
They look like, well, they look exactly like AirPods with a metal finish.
They really do. But the audio tech inside is interesting. They separated the woofer and the tweeter inside the bud. Usually it is one driver doing the work of both. Separating them allows for punchier bass without muddying the highs. And they have this computational design based on millions of ear shapes to improve the fit.
And hands-free AI. You can nod your head to answer calls.
Yes, head gestures. And you can talk to the AI without touching the buds at all. It is pushing that invisible interface idea again. You do not touch the phone. You just speak and nod.
So we have unpacked the Agentic AI, the privacy screen, the cameras, the hardware trade-offs, and the new pricing. What does this all actually mean for the consumer?
It is a phone of contradictions.
It really is. We have incredible display innovation with the privacy display, but it comes with a noticeable viewing angle trade-off. We have amazing AI potential with Gemini and Agentic Actions, but it requires massive trust and will probably be buggy at launch.
We have a thinner, lighter body, but we sacrifice titanium and any battery capacity growth to get it.
So if you are listening to this right now and you were sitting there with an S23 or an S24, is this the upgrade?
If you are an S25 owner, absolutely not. Stay put. If you are on an S23 or older, the AI features are the real draw here. But I would argue that the software vision, this whole agentic AI concept, is the real leap forward. The hardware feels like a very safe, very expensive iteration.
Except for that privacy display.
Except for that. That is the one piece of hardware that feels truly next-gen, provided you can live with the blue tint off-axis.
Here's my final thought for everyone listening to mull over. We are entering an era where our phones are supposedly going to do everything for us. Ordering pizza, booking rides, replying to texts.
Right.
If the phone is doing all the heavy lifting in the background without us touching it, do we actually need better screens? Or are we going to be looking at our phones less overall?
That is the truly provocative question. Are we building the ultimate display right at the exact moment where the interface becomes invisible?
Something to chew on. That is it for this deep dive into the Samsung Galaxy S26 series. We will be tracking how that agentic AI actually performs in the real world. Hopefully it does not order us 50 garlic knots.
I still would not mind 50 garlic knots.
Fair enough. Thanks for listening, everyone. Make sure to subscribe to Azeem USA for more tech deep dives. We will catch you in the next one.
See you next time.